Incredible reunion, little genius reveals life-changing truth about her father to billionaire CEO. Emily's heart raced as she stepped into the warmth of the bustling community center, the sweet scent of freshly baked pies wafting through the air. Today was the annual charity auction, a tapestry of laughter and light blended with the flicker of hope for families like hers. But amid the chatter and smiles, her eyes caught the imposing figure of Richard Hayes, the billionaire CEO who held her town in both admiration and disdain. Would this be the day she finally found her voice? She had spent countless afternoons coding in her makeshift basement lab, the glow of the computer screen flickering over her determined face. Emily had a dream, a fire burning in her chest to make the world better, echoing the ideals her father once championed. He was a man who had fought for their community before disappearing, swallowed up by the shadows of life's struggles. Her mother, Lisa, worked tirelessly, juggling double shifts as a waitress just to keep their small home from sinking. Emily always thought that one day they'd break free from hardship, chasing the elusive dream of resilience and justice. With every pie that was sold, Emily's resolve grew stronger. She watched Richard as he mingled with wealthy patrons, charm oozing from him, yet there was an air of verified remorse that hung about him. Before she could talk herself out of it, she pushed through the crowd, her heart thumping against her ribcage. "Mr. Hayes." She called out, disbelief and excitement battling for dominance. He turned, eyebrow raised, as if wondering what this small girl wanted. "I need to talk to you about the community resource program my dad started." A flicker of recognition crossed his face, closely followed by a frown. "That's a fading memory, kid." "No." She felt the heat of words spill from her, alive with the fierce determination of a girl who had clung to hope for too long. "It was my dad's passion, and it can't just vanish." As the humidity of the room thickened, she felt pulled back in time, memories of her father's vibrant stories filling the spaces between them. But then, with a breath that felt like a storm breaking, Emily pressed on. "You're my dad, aren't you? You left my mom when it got hard." The world hung still in that moment. Gasps echoed around the hall, mingling with hushed whispers. She had voiced what was buried truths hidden beneath layers of hurt and confusion. Richard's shock was palpable, a tumult of emotion swirling in his eyes. "You, how could you know?" Caught between longing and rage, she pressed forward, her voice steady. "You're about to cut funding to the program that could help us, help everyone like us. How could you? Can't you see the impact of your decisions?" The murmurs intensified around them, cowardice and denial illustrated in stark relief against the burning backdrop of her father's legacy. All around, Emily felt the weight of her community's hopes resting on her small shoulders. Her chest tightened, but the spark of righteousness ignited unwavering courage. "Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen." Now let's continue. Richard stood frozen as whispers about his reputation danced around them. Doubt clouded his eyes, yet Emily saw shadows of regret lurking behind them. "What will you choose, Dad?" she asked, tears pricking at her vision, not knowing if they were born from sadness or fierce hope. Would this man, burdened by mistakes and cold ambition, rise to the occasion? As she looked into his eyes, she realized she wasn't just battling for a program, she was fighting for her family's fractured story. Would he finally defend his past, or would he allow greed to dictate his future? With the room pressing in on them, the crossroads of their lives converging in this charged moment, Emily felt a bridge forming that could connect their broken pieces. Would Richard choose to step into the light of responsibility, or would he turn away from the very legacy they both sought to protect? The silence enveloped them, heavy and pulsing with unspoken memories. Richard's breath hitched, and for a moment, Emily thought she might see a glimmer of acknowledgement in his eyes, a spark of recognition of the life he had walked away from. But instead, his features hardened, and he took a step back, as if bracing against an unrelenting tide. "What are you asking of me, Emily?" he said, a tremor lacing his voice. The crowd leaned in, captivated by the raw tension unfolding before them. Emily's heart raced. "I'm asking you to remember who you are. Remember what you stood for. You can make things right. People need help, and you have the power to give that to them." The urgency in her voice cut through the air, rippling through those gathered like a shockwave, but Richard's gaze flickered away, uneasy, as if he were grappling with the ghosts of his past. "You don't understand, kid. Times have changed. The world isn't as simple as it used to be." His voice dropped to a whisper, filled with a weary resignation. Emily refused to let him off the hook. "Then change it. You're the one with the means to do it, the one who can be a force for good." She could feel the warmth of her community behind her, a backing that swelled her determination. Their faces were illuminated by the overhead lights, hope mingling with fear as they awaited Richard's response. "I can't just..." Richard began, but the weight of his failure was creeping over, like a fog swallowing him whole. She could almost see him wrestling with himself, with the son he once was, so full of dreams. "Please," Emily choked out, tears blurring her vision. "Don't be the man who just walked away. Be the dad who cared." Richard's breath caught, his jaw clenched, eyes darting around, absorbing the unrelenting gaze of those watching. It was an electrifying moment, one that could change everything. Almost instinctively, a flicker of something broke through the cold facade he wore. It was just the beginnings of a spark, but for Emily, it felt like a dawn breaking in the dead of night. I need to think," he finally muttered, his voice barely above a whisper, as he turned away, jogging back through the throng. But not before Emily caught one last glimpse of conflict in his eyes, buried beneath layers of uncertainty. The crowd erupted into murmurs as he distanced himself, disbelief permeating the buzz. Emily remained standing, blinking away tears, not entirely sure if this was her victory or the prelude to a heart-wrenching loss. Then her mother, Lisa, emerged from the audience. She stepped closer, eyes filled with pride and confusion all at once. "Emily, what just happened?" she asked, her voice trembling slightly. I confronted him, Mom. I needed him to see." Emily's voice cracked, the weight of the world pressing down on her shoulders. Lisa enveloped her in a strong embrace. "You were brave. No matter how he responds, you spoke your truth." They remained wrapped together in the moment, the warmth of their bond chasing away the chill of uncertainty. Emily could feel the murmurs around them, the collective breath of the town, grounding her in this newfound conviction. It was exhilarating and terrifying all at once, yet the uncertainty of Richard's choice lingered like a specter looming over their lives. Emily knew she had put everything on the line. What if he chose to close the door, again? Would she have the strength to keep pushing forward despite it all? "Mom, what if he doesn't respond the way we hope?" Emily murmured, the fear in her voice almost palpable. Lisa pulled back, meeting her daughter's gaze. "Then we fight, together. And we make sure his choices will never dictate our future. No one can take our voice away, honey. Not now." Emily nodded, determination igniting anew. Little did she know, the next moment they both would share would utterly change the course of her fight. A message would arrive that held the power to ignite a fire greater than she ever imagined. As she wiped her tears, the atmosphere simmered with possibilities. Could this be the catalyst that sparked real change? What lay ahead was unknown, but Emily could feel the pulse of hope swirling through the air. Something was about to break, and she was ready for whatever came next. Emily caught her breath as her phone buzzed in her pocket, startling her from the whirlwind of thoughts. It was a text. Flicking her eyes down, she saw it was from an unknown number. Hesitantly, she opened it, her heart pounding in anticipation. "We need to talk. Meet me at the diner. I have information about your father." She barely had time to process the message before Lisa spoke again, pulling her back into the moment. Sweetie, what's wrong? Someone wants to talk to me about Dad, Emily replied, her voice barely above a whisper. Lisa's brows furrowed, a flicker of concern passing over her face. You don't have to do this, she urged gently. You just put everything out there. We could wait. No, Emily said firmly, a new resolve gripping her. If there is something I need to know, I have to go. But her mind flooded with possibilities. What could this person know? Was it a trap? Or was it something that could finally bring clarity? I'll drive you, Lisa offered, trying to mask her worry with an encouraging smile. As they made their way to the diner, Emily was a ball of nerves, the weight of the unknown pressing down harder with every passing minute. With every beat of her heart, she wondered who could be and what they could possibly have to say about Richard. Upon entering the diner, the aroma of coffee and warm pie surrounded them. The old vinyl booths were a nostalgic reminder of countless memories spent here as a child. But it felt different today, charged with purpose and anxiety. Emily, is that you? A voice called from a corner booth. She turned to see a familiar face, though the years had changed them. A middle-aged woman, with close-cropped brown hair and sharp eyes that held stories untold. Martha. Emily breathed, a swirl of emotions crashing over her like waves. It's good to see you, Martha stated, her tone warm but grave. I didn't expect to find you here, digging into things. Dread and anticipation coiled inside Emily, thickening the air between them. You said you had something about my dad. Martha motioned for them to sit, her expression shifting from friendly to serious. It's about what happened when he left, why he walked away. You need to understand, it wasn't just him making a choice. There were things you and your mom deserve to know. As Martha spoke, every word turned into nails pricking at Emily's heart. She listened intently, the fabric of her past unraveling at light speed. I worked closely with your father before he left, Martha began. He made decisions based on things he thought were for the best. But he was misled, manipulated even. Emily leaned closer, the air hanging thickly. What do you mean? Martha paused, searching Emily's eyes. There were forces that didn't want him involved with you. His ability to do good, everything he wanted to create, made him a target. People took advantage of his dreams, twisted them into something dangerous. Emily felt a rush of anger and empathy mixed together. The man who had chosen to disappear was not just a coward, he had been trapped in a web of circumstances. So he didn't just leave. It's complicated, Martha said, a sadness creeping into her voice. He thought he was protecting you. I know it sounds crazy, but believe me, your father loved you. She trailed off, leaving a gaping chasm of questions in Emily's mind. Wait. Lisa interjected, her expressions shifting between confusion and disbelief. If this is true, can he be brought back into our lives? What do we do now? Emily felt the magnitude of her mother's question drumming in her chest. If Richard was indeed fighting against an unseen adversary, could he still be reached? Would he return to them, now that the truth was surfacing like a tidal wave? As Martha took a deep breath to continue, the world around them faded. Instead, all Emily could think was whether she was ready for the truth, a truth that could reshape everything. What I'm telling you could change everything, Martha urged, her eyes locking onto Emily's. But you need to brace yourself, because knowing the truth might be more than you bargained for. The weight of those words settled heavily, leaving Emily to ponder all the layers yet to be unwrapped. Would she be able to handle it, or was this the beginning of a bigger storm than she had prepared for? Emily sat frozen as Martha's gaze penetrated her, the words hanging in the air like a storm cloud ready to burst. It's not just about your father, Martha continued, her voice low. It goes deeper. There's a reason he vanished. There were circumstances, people involved, situations you can't even imagine. Emily's heart raced. The gravity of the situation began to settle in her bones. What do you mean? What kind of people? Martha shifted uncomfortably in her seat. those who saw your father's potential as a threat. They thought he could disrupt their plans, and they didn't like that. Lisa, who had been quiet, suddenly broke her silence. What did they want? What were they after? Power, Martha replied, swallowing hard, and control. Your father had something special, talents that could change industries, society. They played on his fears and ambitions to push him away. When he realized what was happening, it was too late. Emily's chest felt tight. The idea that her father hadn't just walked away but had fought against something dark and powerful was terrifying. How do you know all of this? She asked, her voice trembling slightly. I worked with him, even maintained a line of communication until things went too far. I had to cut ties for my safety, Martha admitted. So he's still out there? Emily whispered, a mix of hope and dread spinning a web in her mind. The thought of Richard, trapped but alive, ignited a flicker of optimism within her. Martha nodded slowly. He's alive, yes. But where, and under what conditions, I can't say. The last I heard, he was being watched closely. He's not a free man. A wave of emotion surged through Emily, thickening the air. Anger, fear, and an overwhelming need for answers battled within her. What do I do? She asked, leaning forward. Find him, Martha said, her voice steady now. But you must be careful. It won't be easy. You need to learn the rules of the game your father was caught up in. What game? Lisa pressed, her eyes wide. Corporate espionage, conspiracy. There are those who seek to silence anyone who challenges them. Your father, your family, they've all been caught in it. Emily felt the blood drain from her face. So if we look for him, we're putting ourselves in danger. Yes, Martha confirmed, the knot of worry tightening in Lisa's stomach. But staying in the dark is not an option either. The truth can protect you or set you free. Can't we just call the police or? Lisa began, but Martha shook her head. Not that simple. This goes beyond the law, beyond conventional authorities. You'll need allies, people who know how to navigate this treacherous world. Emily took a deep breath, grappling with both the thrill of discovery and the fear of what lay ahead. So we have to find allies, and then what? Break through whatever held him captive? Yes, but it won't just be a rescue. You will need to confront the same entities that turned your father's world upside down, Martha replied, her voice steady with conviction. The air grew heavy. Emily's mind raced with scenarios, some dangerous, some filled with hope. Could she really untangle the mess her father had been caught in? She felt the undeniable urge to step into this battle, to reclaim the father she had lost so long ago, but something nagged at her, an instinct telling her that all the pieces might not fit together as neatly as she hoped. What peril lay waiting for them? All right, Emily finally said, her voice a surprising mix of fear and determination. We'll find him. Martha smiled, a spark of encouragement lighting her eyes. Then you need to start preparing now. There's a lot you don't know, but you're stronger than you think. And you'll need every ounce of that strength. As they began to plan, a sense of unity enveloped them. Emily, Lisa, and Martha, bound by the shared mission of discovering the truth. With it came an emerging fear of what they might uncover, but, outside the diner, a shadow lingered, watching them. Unbeknownst to Emily, their journey had already begun, and the forces that sought to keep her father away would fight back harder than they anticipated. How do we protect ourselves? Lisa asked quietly, her voice a whisper that echoed Emily's growing sense of vulnerability. Emily held on to that resolve, even as questions bubbled beneath the surface. They were stepping into deep waters, a journey that would lead them to their father or possibly to something darker. Would they be strong enough to face it together? And more importantly, what if the truth was more terrifying than they could imagine? The cold air wrapped around Emily as she stepped out of the diner, a shiver running down her spine. The sun was setting, casting a golden hue over the empty parking lot. She glanced at Lisa and Martha, their expressions mirroring her swirling thoughts of uncertainty. Where do we even start? Lisa asked, her voice barely above a whisper. Emily straightened her shoulders, taking a deep breath. Martha said there are allies. We need to find someone who knows about the situation. Someone who can help us understand the game. Martha nodded in agreement. I have a contact. His name is David. He has been in this world longer than I have. If anyone knows how to navigate it, it's him. Great. Let us call him, Lisa urged, her excitement tinged with apprehension. Martha hesitated, her eyes flickering with concern. It's not that simple. David is difficult to find. He operates in shadows, prefers to stay off the radar. But if we can locate him, he can give you both guidance, and she paused, her expression darkening. He can also prepare you for what's out there. The tension in Emily's chest tightened. What exactly are we talking about here? What kind of danger does he deal with? Intimidation, threats, sometimes even disappearances, Martha replied, her voice grave. People make poor choices when they're desperate or afraid. But we can't let this deter us. We need to push forward. Emily's heart raced as she considered the risks. Yet through the fear, a sense of determination bubbled up. She wasn't prepared to let her father remain lost forever. Then we have to find this David. What do we need to do? Martha quickly outlined their plan. They would need to dig into local networks, ask the right questions, and keep their eyes peeled for any signs of David's presence. It felt overwhelming, the weight of unknown dangers pressing down on them. Are you sure you want to go through with this? Lisa asked, her brow furrowed with concern. Emily looked over at her friend, trying to picture her life without the answers they sought. What choice do we have? Not knowing is scarier than facing whatever challenges lie ahead. Martha's expression softened. You're stronger than you realize, Emily. Trust your instincts. As they drove away from the diner, Emily's mind was a whirlwind of thoughts. She could already foresee the questions swirling in her mind. What had her father been involved in? Who had he crossed? Suddenly, a siren pierced the evening calm, causing Emily to jump. She glanced in the rearview mirror and saw flashing lights behind them. What is going on? Martha's face turned pale. Just keep driving, don't pull over. Emily's heart began to race, panic creeping in as she pressed the gas pedal. Why? Are we in trouble? No, but something feels off. We might have just caught someone's attention, Martha replied, her eyes scanning the street. Emily felt a wave of cold fear wash over her. They were already being hunted. Shouldn't we go to the police? Lisa suggested, her voice shaky. No. Martha exclaimed. Trust me, this isn't a normal situation. If we get tangled with them, it would put us all at risk. Every muscle in Emily's body tensed, but she forced herself to stay calm. What do we do then? Turn left at the next intersection. There's a safe house nearby, Martha instructed, her voice steady despite the gravity of the situation. As Emily made the turn, the lights behind them flashed brighter, the siren wailing ever closer. The adrenaline surged through her, making her alive to every sound and sight around her. We just need to get away, Martha muttered, her hands gripping the dashboard. Just as they neared the corner, Emily glanced at the rearview mirror again. The vehicle behind them was no ordinary police car. It was an unmarked black SUV, ominous and intimidating. Her heart sank. Who were these people? What did they want from her? Hold on. Emily yelled, taking a sharp turn down a narrow street, ignoring every instinct to panic. As they sped away, the SUV followed, relentless and menacing. The realization hit hard they had already stepped into the danger, and there might be no turning back now. Are we going to lose them? Lisa asked, her voice trembling as she looked back. Emily's eyes hardened with determination. We have to. We will. They raced through the darkening streets, the weight of their mission hanging over them like a thunderstorm. The thrill of the chase was both terrifying and exhilarating. Deep down, Emily knew they were getting closer to uncovering the truth about her father, but the shadows were closing in fast. And as the SUV continued its pursuit, one question loomed larger than the others: was it too late to turn back? They veered past a corner, heartbeats pounding together. What awaited them at the end of this alley? Was it the road to the truth, or the end of everything they had known? Emily's pulse throbbed in her ears as she navigated the car through the labyrinth of narrow streets. The black SUV loomed behind them, an iron shadow that suggested danger and despair. She tightened her grip on the steering wheel, her knuckles white against the dark leather. "Emily, they're still right behind us." Lisa's voice pierced through the tension, panic threading every syllable. "I know. I can see them." Emily snapped, her focus unwavering. If she panicked, they'd all lose. Martha's steady voice broke the fray of noise. "We need to go off the main roads. Find a way to lose them." "Where do I go?" Emily shouted, her heart racing for options. "Take the next right. There's an old warehouse down that road. We can hide there until you think of something." Martha's calmness was a lifeline Emily desperately clung to. Twisting the steering wheel, Emily flew into the right turn, feeling the car slide slightly on the wet pavement. Glimpses of rusty metal and broken glass flashed by as they entered what felt like an abandoned world. Across the lot, the warehouse loomed, its windows dusty and cracked. "Go, go, go," Lisa urged, her voice a whirlwind of fear and hope. Emily accelerated toward the entrance. With one last look at the rearview mirror, there it was again, the dark SUV, relentless and close. She swerved into the warehouse mouth, the tires screeching against the gravel. Once inside, she switched off the engine, her breathing heavy in the silence that suddenly enveloped them. Shadows flickered beyond the grime-covered windows as Emily turned to Martha, their anxious eyes locking. "Do you think they'll find us?" Emily's voice was barely a whisper, fear lacing her words. "They don't know we came in here," Martha replied. "We just need to stay quiet." Only darkness greeted them as they lay low, tension thickening the air like fog. Outside, faint sounds drifted in from the street, the dull thrum of the SUV's engine and the occasional distant siren. Emily felt her heart clench in her chest. The thoughts of her father swirled in her head, but here, beneath the weight of uncertainty, a sliver of determination sparked. "What if David could help us?" Lisa whispered, breaking the silence. Her words hung in the air, morphing into hope. "We need to find him, to learn what he knows," Emily agreed, steeling herself. Suddenly, a noise from the entrance caught their attention, footsteps crunching on gravel, voices murmuring. The SUV had parked outside. "Do you think they—" Lisa trailed off, her eyes widening in terror. "No," Emily whispered fiercely. "They won't come in here without knowing for sure." But as the voices grew louder, doubt crept into Emily's mind. What if they came searching? What if they had dogs? She couldn't let fear paralyze her now. They had come this far. The warehouse door creaked open slightly, just enough for a beam of light to spill across the floor, illuminating the dust particles dancing in the air. Emily held her breath, the moment stretching, every heartbeat echoing like thunder. Then a figure stepped into the light, silhouetted against the evening glow. It was a man holding a flashlight, scanning the room. "Where are you?" His voice called out, low and menacing, as the beam searched through the shadows. Emily's heart raced. They had to move. "This way." She gestured urgently to Martha and Lisa, instinctively heading toward the back exit. They darted toward the other side of the warehouse, pressing each step carefully as they exited. Emily's throat was dry, and she could sense the danger inching closer. Just beyond the back door lay uncertainty. With one last glance back toward the man still searching the entrance, she whispered, "We have to hurry." As they dashed into the night, adrenaline thrumming, the world outside felt both vast and claustrophobic, having glimpsed danger but not yet reached freedom. "Where do we go now?" Lisa gasped, glancing nervously over her shoulder. Find David, Emily declared, breathing deeply, trying to calm her racing heart. He's our only chance. But even as she spoke, doubt crept in. What if David was as elusive as they feared? What if he turned out to be more dangerous than the shadows that chased them? Their path lay ahead, but one question echoed through Emily's mind as the cool night air enveloped them: how long could they run before the darkness caught up? The cool night air wrapped around Emily like a shroud, amplifying her unease as they ran into the unknown. Every sound, a distant siren, the rustle of leaves, the crunch of gravel underfoot, sent shivers racing down her spine. Behind them, the warehouse loomed large, a silent witness to their escape. They slowed to a jog, glancing nervously at one another. Do we have any idea where David is? Martha asked, voice trembling. Emily shook her head. No. But he's close. He always is, right? She tried to sound confident, but doubt lingered in the corners of her mind. What if David had distanced himself from their family for good? What if he couldn't or wouldn't help? Should we go to his apartment? Lisa suggested, her breath coming in shallow puffs. Too risky. Emily's instinct screamed at her. There's too much visibility there. If they were following, they'd check first. Martha reached into her pocket, pulling out her phone. The screen lit up, illuminating their faces with a ghostly glow. No service, she muttered, frowning. Great. Just great, Lisa said, exasperated. We're running blind. Emily's mind raced. They needed a plan. There's a cafe a few blocks over. David used to meet people there. Do you think he'll be there? Martha asked, hope flickering in her eyes. It's a chance, Emily replied. Water, a place to think we need to regroup. As they raced toward the cafe, the weight of their situation pressed heavier on Emily's chest. She could almost feel the eyes of their pursuers on them, lurking just beyond the shadows. When they arrived at the cafe, the neon sign flickered, casting erratic shadows on the cracked sidewalk. The front door hung ajar, a faint light spilling out. It felt surreal to be here, this familiar place now warped by the fear that trailed them. Let's stick to the back, Emily whispered. They slipped inside, the scent of coffee and baked goods momentarily soothing, a brief distraction from the chaos surrounding them. Martha and Lisa slid into a booth while Emily walked to the counter, her heart racing. She nodded at the barista, a friend from years past, hoping he would understand without needing to ask questions. David has been here recently. The barista's eyes flickered with concern. Not in the last week. He's been off the grid. Why? Is something wrong? Just need to find him. Emily's voice was shaky, but she forced a smile. Thanks. She rejoined the others, who were anxiously scanning the cafe. No luck, she said, taking a breath. But we need to find another way to reach him. What if we hit his old contacts? Lisa suggested, leaning forward. You remember them? Maybe, Emily replied, her thoughts racing. David had been wrapped up in a world that felt galaxies away, and she feared that their once strong ties had frayed with time. But we can't just sit here. As if on cue, the cafe door swung open, letting in a gust of frigid air, making them all shiver. A man stepped inside. He scanned the room, his eyes locking onto Emily and her friends. The air turned electric, and Emily's instincts flared. Was this an ally or a foe? Heart pounding, she whispered, we need to go now. But as they slid out of the booth, the man started walking toward them, determination in his stride. Emily. He called, the name laced with an old familiarity that made her freeze. A jolt of recognition surged through her. Was it him? Before she could react, he was at their table, eyes filled with an urgency that conflicted with the fear that had clung to her. Emily, it's me. I've been trying to find you. The chaos around them felt distant. In that moment, everything faded except the hope rising within her chest as she faced him. But what if this reunion held more than just familiar faces? What if he had answers? Questions raced through her mind as she found herself darkly wondering what he really knew and how deep their struggles would plunge. Emily blinked, the man's face sharpening into focus. The flickering lights of the cafe revealed familiar features, the strong jawline, the slight curl of his hair, and those bright eyes that once sparkled with endless possibilities. "Sam, is that really you?" She breathed, barely able to comprehend that he stood only a few feet away. "Yes. I've been looking everywhere. I heard what happened," he stammered, glancing around as if the shadows themselves might be listening. The urgency in his voice pulled at Emily's emotions. Fear mixed with gratitude surged through her. "I thought you vanished," she replied, heart racing. "Not a word since." "I had to get out," Sam said, glancing towards the door, aware of the tension that hung thick in the air. "But I came back as soon as I learned you were in trouble." "Where's David?" "We need him." "David, he's missing." "We don't know where he is," Emily admitted, her breath hitching. The desperation edged into her voice. "We thought you might have a lead." A look of concern flashed across Sam's face. "I wish I did. But I have something important to tell you." He leaned closer, the urgency in his tone igniting Emily's curiosity. "I think I know why you're in danger, and it has everything to do with your father." "What about him?" "We don't even know where he is either," Lisa chimed in, her voice barely above a whisper. "That's just it. He's connected to everything that's happening," Sam said, swallowing hard. "You have to trust me. There's more going on here than you know. The people after you, they want him." Emily's heart raced with confusion and anger. "But he abandoned us. How can he be connected?" Sam shook his head, the emotion raw in his expression. "It's not what you think. Your father was involved in something much bigger than you can imagine. He never stopped caring, Emily." "I know this sounds crazy," Martha interrupted, panic rising in her voice. "We don't have time for this. If they find us here." "No, listen," Sam pleaded, catching her gaze. He reached into his backpack and pulled out a small, worn envelope, handing it to Emily. "This is everything I found. Your dad left clues, hidden messages. I think he's trying to protect you. We need to decode this." Emily took the envelope, her hands trembling. The weight of the unknown pressed down on her, but amidst the fear, a flicker of hope ignited. "You know how?" she asked, stalling for a moment to weigh her trust in him. "I can help. Together, we can find David and uncover the truth," he said, his voice steady now, a promise lingering in the air. Suddenly, the cafe door swung open again, this time with a force that sent a chill racing down Emily's spine. A group of men entered, their eyes scanning the cafe like hawks. Sam's expression shifted from urgency to alarm. "We have to go. Now." Emily shoved the envelope into her pocket. The stakes were dangerously high, but for the first time in days, she felt a glimmer of determination. They rushed to the back exit, hearts pounding as the distant sound of shouts echoed from the front. With every step, doubt and determination warred within her. Could they trust Sam? Would he lead them toward answers or deeper into danger? The uncertainty loomed more significant than ever, yet they pressed forward into the unknown. As they burst out into the cool night air, Emily's heart raced with a combination of fear and adrenaline. Behind them, voices grew louder. They could not look back, not now. But one thought gripped her tightly: what truths about her father were waiting to be unearthed? The chase wasn't over, and with every fleeting moment, clarity seemed closer yet impossibly far. What if Sam was right? What if her father had been protecting them in ways they had never understood? Just as they turned the corner, Emily's mind spun with this new revelation, the envelope still heavy in her pocket. Their next move could change everything, but how much longer could they run before the truth caught up with them? The chaos of the night enveloped them as Emily, Sam, and Lisa sprinted through the dimly lit alleyways, their breaths coming in quick bursts. The muffled echo of oncoming footsteps urged them forward. Sam, his focus sharp, led the way, darting around corners with a confidence Emily had almost forgotten. "We can't stop until we're far enough away," he urged, glancing back once before turning into another narrow passage. Fear twisted tightly around Emily's heart, but something else also simmered beneath that fear, a sense of urgency fueled by Sam's revelations. The thought of her father, a man she barely recognized as a protector, ignited questions that fueled her momentum. "We have to decode the envelope," Lisa reminded, her voice strained as she followed closely behind. But Emily shook her head. "Can we even trust what's in it? What if it's all lies?" "Lies or not, it's our only lead," Sam replied. His eyes were intense, almost pleading. "I wouldn't have returned if I didn't believe we could unravel this together." Just then, a shadow shifted at the far end of the passage. Emily's heart dropped, panic clawing at her throat. "They're coming." "We can't go that way," Lisa gasped, pointing at the darker part of the alley. "There could be a dead end." "Trust me," Sam said, a firm determination shaping his voice. He turned sharply left, pulling them into an even narrower lane where the bricks loomed above them like watchful giants. They squeezed through, the scent of damp earth mixing with the adrenaline coursing through Emily's veins. The alley opened up into a small courtyard, illuminated by a flickering street lamp. It felt oddly serene, like a pocket of calm amidst the storm. But the calm didn't last long. They huddled together, breaths coming in rapid succession, scanning the edges for signs of trouble. "What do we do now?" Lisa asked, her voice trembling. "The envelope," Sam urged again, his eyes pleading for her to understand. "We need to see what your dad left behind." Emily hesitated, gripping the envelope tightly against her chest. It felt heavier than before, like it was filled with shards of glass waiting to cut. What if it leads us deeper into danger? What if it's just a trap? "The truth is dangerous, but so is hiding," Sam replied, stepping closer. "It's up to you, Emily. You can decide to unravel it or let it remain a shadow in your life." At that moment, the weight of her Don hung in the air, thick and suffocating. But she felt that flicker of hope again. Maybe her father wasn't just an abandonment story, maybe there was more, a reasoning, a legacy she had never sought out. What if by confronting the shadows, she could finally see the truth? Suddenly, the echo of shouting broke through the courtyard's stillness. They had no time left. "Hurry!" Sam instructed, looking around for cover. Emily, with a reckless resolve, ripped the envelope open. Inside were several papers, a mix of letters and pictures. They seemed cryptic but familiar. She caught a glimpse of her father's handwriting, a scrawl of urgency in the margins. One phrase jumped out at her, catching her breath: "Follow the leads. They'll save you." "No," Lisa gasped as more footsteps reverberated against the pavement. "We need to get out of here." Emily looked at Sam, urgency in his eyes mirroring her own fear. "What do we do with this?" "We'll study it later." He grabbed her hand. "For now we run." And just like that, they bolted once more, the chase propelling them forward. But as they ran, every word on the paper clawed at Emily's mind, an echo of something profound and dangerous. What awaited them down this path? Would the truth they uncovered lead to salvation or devastation? The night stretched ahead, fraught with shadowy whispers and unanswered questions. The only certainty was that their race against time had only just begun. Adrenaline surged as Emily, Sam, and Lisa dashed through the maze of alleyways. The echo of shouts behind them chased them relentlessly, like shadows creeping in the darkness. Emily's heart pounded in her chest, the urgency of their mission burning in her veins. Each turn they took felt like another step deeper into the unknown, the thrill of danger bustling alongside the fear of discovery. "We have to hide," Sam hissed, darting into a narrow gap between two buildings. They squeezed through, panting, pressed up against the cool, damp wall. The shells of their past hid in the shadows. What lay ahead was incalculable. Emily's breath was ragged, but there was a glimmer of hope nestled deep in her chest. "I'll check the envelope," Sam said, shoving his back against the wall and spilling the contents of the envelope onto the ground. Papers fluttered about like startled birds, filled with her father's unmistakable scrawl. "Look. There are names here," Emily pointed out, eyes scanning the phrases that danced across the parchment. Twisted tendrils of thoughts shot through her brain. Was this what he meant by leads? "Those could be contacts," Sam said. "If they're still alive, they could help us find him. Or they could put us in more danger," Lisa countered softly, fear echoing through her tone. Emily felt a rush of courage, squeezing her fists and shaking her head. No. He believed in helping people. "If these names can connect us, we have to reach out." A shadow flickered a few feet away, a fleeting moment that made her stomach knot. "What if they come?" Lisa whispered, her voice trembling with anxiety. "Then we run again," Sam said, eyes alight. "But not without trying first." Sorting through the papers with frantic fingers, Emily's gaze fell onto one name that felt achingly familiar: David. "Wait, he was Dad's right-hand man. He will help us," she exclaimed, a rush of clarity igniting her resolve. "They have to," Sam whispered, grabbing the crumpled pages and peering over his shoulder. "But we have to move now. Take the left side down the alley and then cut through the parking lot." The trio bolted, hearts racing. They maneuvered around corners, pushing their legs to carry them where their instincts led. Emily led the charge, her mind focused. Every breath became a mantra of purpose. Suddenly, the shrieking of tires echoed from the street. The unmarked SUV was circling, its low rumble a predator lurking for prey. A sinking fear spread within her, but she pushed it down. They had come too far to falter. "We need to pick up the pace," Sam shouted as they reached the edge of the parking lot. Adrenaline sharpened every sense, and time seemed to stretch while they ran, the shadows lunging after them. Then, out of nowhere, a voice called out. "Emily." Her heart stopped. It was familiar. She spun around to see an older man, grizzled and weary, but very much alive, hurrying toward them, eyes wide with urgency. "It's me, David. I've been looking for you." Wide-eyed, Emily gasped. This was the man her father had trusted. The man they needed. You know about my dad?" "Yes." He pressed closer, glancing furtively over his shoulder. "We don't have much time. This way." Without hesitation, they followed David as he dashed toward an old sedan parked under the flickering light, the engine already purring softly. The atmosphere crackled with energy, anticipation tugging on every nerve. Once inside, David glanced cautiously at them, his expression serious. "Your father is in trouble, and we need to get him back. They've kept him hidden. Someone wants him silenced because of what he knows about them." Confusion and dread swirled in Emily's stomach. "But, why didn't anyone tell us?" she whispered, voice trembling. "Why did he leave?" David's gaze softened with understanding. "He thought he was protecting you. It was never about abandoning you. There are forces at play so vast you cannot comprehend." The truth stung, but if David knew, perhaps there was a chance. "We found this," Emily said, pulling out the papers they'd gathered, her voice unsteady yet determined. "These could help. Right?" David scanned them quickly, nodding as the papers shone with faint possibilities. "This will guide us, but we have to move fast. They know we're close." And just like that, they were off again, their fates intertwined. The winding roads blurred outside the window as David navigated through the city, weaving through the night with purpose. Emily's heart began to settle, a sense of belonging igniting. They were no longer alone. With every turn, with every beat of her heart, hope blossomed anew. They could find her father. They would confront the darkness that had shadowed their lives for so long. And as they raced toward the unknown, Emily felt emboldened. Together, they would unravel the truths that had bound them in silence. The chance for healing was close, and within that journey was the promise of redemption, connection, and finally, family. But even in that newfound hope, the shadows lurked. It would take more than courage to confront the storm ahead. Would the truth they uncovered bring liberation or unleash chaos that they could never imagine? This door was just a threshold. Real battles awaited them, but together, they were ready to face whatever followed. But if you felt the intensity of this journey, you need to subscribe now to be part of what's coming next. Hit that like button now, your support fuels this story. Leave a comment sharing your thoughts. What do you think awaits Emily and the team? And don't forget, share this video with at least 5 friends who need to witness this adventure. We're building a community, and every action counts. Don't wait not even one more second. Your chance to support this channel is here.